Okay, moving on, let's move on with the products that's available from the Unifi series. Okay, now as you can see right here on this slide, you will see that this is introducing the USG, or what we call the Unified Security Gateway. Okay, so for short we will call it the USG. There are two versions. One would be the USG with a single WAN, proposed with single WAN, alright, and then there is the USG-4, which is the USG Pro 4, which basically has two WAN ports and two LAN ports. The unit itself is on the bottom of the slide, where you can see with my mouse cursor pointing over. Okay, so have a quick run through on the various abbreviations. Okay, so WAN port. Okay, on the WAN port you can accept either DHCP, PPOE, or static IP. Alright, so you have your standard DHCP, PPOE, or static IP. The Unified Security Gateway is able to accept these three different type of WAN ports. Okay, now routing wise, it's either static, inter-VLAN, or policy based. Okay, now for DHCP, you run it either on server, relay, or options. Now for DNS, it's able to do forwarding, dynamic, and multicast. For QoS, it's doing on smart queues. Alright, so it works on smart queues to do the QoS. Alright, so that's WMM. Of course, on the firewall portion, it's able to handle layer 3, layer 7, and port forwarding. And for radius, it's able to open up itself as a radius server. Okay, and also besides that, it can also handle users for radius. And for VPN, okay, so similarly, if customer requires this to work as a VPN, it can also be used for remote users. So remote users can log in to the unit itself. Now, of course, if you're using VPN, do take note of the throughput in terms of the VPN connection, depending on which protocol you use. Okay, especially for IPsec. Okay, do take note of that and double check on the customer's requirement, especially if they have any SLA on the VPN. Okay, so if customer is going to ask what kind of clients is allowed, it's allowed PPTP, L2DP. Okay, L2TP. It's also able to do similarly site-to-site server, okay, and using IPsec or OpenVPN. Okay, now of course in terms of sizing, I wouldn't suggest for you to do too many units of connection to one single USG. Alright, so remember to do sizing correctly. Other than that, when you're using the USG, what other additional benefits do you get? Okay, you get to use the DPI, which is the Deep Packet Inspection, which allows you to use the DPI for filtering or restriction. Okay, for that we will cover that in UEWA. Okay, when you're being an administrator, you have to know how to utilize the DPI. Right, at the same time, with these two units, you can also activate the IDS, Intrusion Detection System, or the Intrusion Prevention System, which is the IPS. Okay, IDS and IPS. Alright, at the same time, it supports IPv6, and also it supports Universal Plug and Play, UPnP, and also if you want to require you to have any form of SNMPs, okay, you can also use the Small Network Monitoring Protocol. It will also work. Okay, now moving forth, okay, with the recently newly launched UDM, okay, which is the Unified Dream Machine. Okay, with the Unified Dream Machine, what you will get is you have a very powerful quad-core CPU, okay, operating at 1.7 gigahertz, and at the same time, it has an integrated unified cloud key. So that's to say that the controller is built in within the machine itself. So you can see this small little capsule. All right, everything is in within this capsule. All right, on the top you will see is the cover with the light, the blue ring. Okay, there's an antenna that's on top. All right, and it comes with 4 gigabit ports for switching and 1 single gigabit for WAN. All right. At the same time, it has all the standard features that you will find in a USG, which is firewalls, IPS, IDS, and DPS, which is the DPI. All right, it does all your simple QoS and VLANs. All right. Now you can set it up using a mobile phone, using the Unifi app. All right, so it can stand as a standalone. All right. Now at the same time, do take note, because this unit has an integrated cloud key. You do not require an additional cloud key or a cloud hosted controller. Okay, do remember, you do not need an additional controller. The controller is within this capsule itself. All right, you are not able to use any external controllers for this particular unit. Okay, now next, let's look at all the switches from Unifi. So this is a Gen 1 switches. Okay,